Steel Toes is brought to you by PCL Construction. Hi everyone, welcome to Women in Steel Toes, Boots in the Ground, episode 10. Tonight I'm here with Natalie Smith from Empower Women in Trades. And she's going to tell us a little bit about the program and herself and how everything works. So Natalie, let's start off with a little bit about yourself. What do you do with Empower Women in Trades and how did you get started?
Yes, so my role with Empower, I am the team lead. I started with Empower as the program coordinator, and over the last couple of years, just ended up moving up as the team lead. And as a team lead, I get to focus on some of the fun stuff with the program, like working on mentorship and connecting with other community organizations and partners. And so that's for me quite fun.
So can you tell us a little bit about what Empower is in women in trades and who's kind of behind it as well?
Yeah, so Manpower developed this program in partnership with SAIT, and it's funded by Alberta government. And the purpose of the program was to help unemployed women gain the skills they need to re-enter the workforce. And we are focused on women with an interest in the skilled trades. So the program is introductory and it provides some overview training into 5 different trades. So all our students, they get to try their hand at some carpentry, welding, pipe trades, carpentry, and heavy duty mechanics. And then the training is followed by some on-the-job training where they get some real-world experience in the trade of their choice, with the ultimate goal of finding entry-level employment.
So that's awesome. They get to touch on just a little bit of everything and see what they feel out.
Yeah. So that's the idea. So a lot of women, we may have had interested or been curious about the trades for a long time, but we just don't always get the same exposure and same experience as maybe some of the boys get, through school and through other resources. So a lot of women, they have the understanding and the realizations that they're hands-on learners. They want to work with their hands, they want to build stuff, but aren't necessarily sure which direction because they haven't had the same exposure or knowledge of what the trades are as some of the guys. So it's great to be able to come into a safe environment, work with women, get to try them out, decide what they like, what they don't like, and then be able to put that into practice in a real world application, and then get their foot in that door. So it's kind of like you try before you buy, right? As I said, it is a government funded program, so you don't have to pay to come into the program. So it's a way to explore and learn about the career options in the trades without having to commit to paying a traditional tuition pre-apprentice program or getting into something and then finding out it's not your passion.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I really liked about it when we first talked about that is that you get to see a little bit of everything. So you do get that hands-on experience with so many different options that you can really figure out what your niche is. Now, to get into this program, what are the requirements? Like, what do you have to do to even apply for it or be considered?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the eligibility for this program is you do have to be over 18, out of high school for 1 year, and legally able to work in Canada. Beyond that, we do have an intake process where we sit down and have a conversation with each candidate who meets that basic eligibility. And what we discuss really is what's called ready, willing, and able. So right now, you are ready for full-time employment. So if you're a mom, you've got your child care in place. If your family dynamics are set so that you are ready to get back in that workforce, you've got the financial means to support yourself while you're in training. You've you know how to behave in a workplace. You understand the job application process. So we'll help tailor your job search to the trade. So cover letters, networking, interview skills. But really at this point, the reason why you're not able to find employment isn't because you don't know how to write a resume. You're prepared. You just need that little bit of training and that little bit of support, particularly to get your foot in the door with the skilled trades, which I find for a lot of women, that's the ticket, is just having that little bit of support opens all those doors, and that's all that's missing.
That's awesome. So you can just come into women who are basically looking for work, ready to work, and kind of help them establish that training and those goals.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
How do people find out about your program?
We find that we reach most of our students through online platforms. So Facebook, Instagram is a big one. And that seems to be the easiest way to target and get the word out about the program, but also talking to organizations in and around Calgary in Canada about the program, just to build that awareness. And then doing events. We do mentorship events quarterly where we bring our students, but also any women that is interested in learning about the trades to talk about various topics that they feel they need to talk about, whether it's safety in the workplace or whether it's a discussion about what resources are available to them, a discussion about how to find PPE that fits women specifically. So any kind of those topics that we feel would benefit women to have that discussion, that's what we'll do. And it's also a place to start some networking and have some informal mentorship opportunities.
That's awesome. So just bringing it back to when you're talking about they're doing these 5 different 5 different career choices, these 5 different placements to figure out, and I guess more training in each section, and then they go on to a placement. Now, is that something that they have to kind of find on their own, or is there like a pool of placements that you already have in place?
Yeah, we have a network of employers that we work with and try to create these opportunities. That said, some students have specific ideas of what they want in mind, and if that's the case, we do ask for their participation. We find the most successful ways to help students, especially if they do have an employer in mind that may be outside of our pool, is to get them to approach the employer first, get them to pitch I'd like to join your team to volunteer or as an internship opportunity. I'm working with, the Empower program. And then once they make that connection, have us follow up, because it shows initiatives on the client's part. And then the company also knows that that student has the backing, has the references from a program like Empower, but it's also teaching the students those skills. So when they get out into the workforce and are searching for employment, they are building those skills, and they still have us as that support. So it's kind of a win-win. So it's kind of both, to be honest. So we do have that pool where we can offer up work experience, but we love when students come in with their own ideas and own ambitions, and we will support them if they want something different than what we have, ready to go for them.
Oh, that's cool to kind of hear that you back, even if it's not something that you already have in place, but you're backing new initiatives as well.
Yeah, as long as it's within the realm of the trades that we're teaching, just so that they have had that education and background. The sky's the limit. When you talk about carpentry, that is a huge industry in and of itself. So there's framing, you could be building decks, you could be doing cabinet making, the sky's the limit. And we're teaching just the basic skills, and those are transferable to any of those platforms. So that's the point of that work experience, is to try one of those avenues to see if it's like, do you like working in residential versus industrial, or commercial? Those skills are so transferable. There's such a range of opportunity. Not to mention the fact you've gotten your foot in the door in 5 different trades. So now, you can hone your skills, really develop those, the job skills. And I just lost my train of thought.
It happens.
It's something about a camera, hey?
As soon as you're in front of it, you're like, oh, what?
Yeah, okay. So can you ask me that question again? Because I just...
So we just talked about how you guys back people who even have, their own ideas of employers that they'd like to go. And now you're saying too as well, like you're talking about how broad of a spectrum all the trades are. Like you look at carpentry, you're saying, you've got residential, you've got, your millwork, your framing crews, your industrial stuff, you got steel stud framing, you've got so many different options that you can even go into. It's good to even get yourself out in front of those options. Or even,
and really the sky's the limit of what women can do, and having that exposure is invaluable. And then getting into work experience, I find that that's the key to be able to be successful in employment, is being able to approach an employer and say, hey, I want to work with you. Test me out for 4 weeks. I am entry level. I'm going to need that supervision, but I can prove that I have the attitude you want, the willingness to learn. And that seems to just kick down those doors for them. And even if they can't get on with paid employment or decide that that's not the trade for them, that's okay. They now have that experience to put on a resume, and they've got a great reference. And that's what we want to see, is people taking those opportunities. And the more somebody is willing to create those opportunities for themselves, those are the students that are successful. Many have gone on, are now starting apprenticeships, which is exciting to see.
It is. Do you find there's like a high success rate after they're coming out, or that they're either getting hired on by the companies that they were interning with, or that they're finding their own jobs successfully after the fact?
Yes. So I find those that come into the program and are the ones that are taking the opportunity, and giving it 100% and doing some of that work on their own, they are 100% successful. They're the ones, in some cases it hasn't been directly out of the program, the first week, but they're the ones that when we follow, they're the ones that have been successful, have gotten their foot in the door in the industry of their choice and are starting their apprenticeships. In the few instances, those that have not been successful are those who have, come into the program and just want us to give them the job, give them that employment opportunity, which in some cases we can do, but in the long term, that doesn't teach you the skills you need to be successful.
Yeah, you kind of need to have that drive and initiative to go find what you want as well.
Exactly. And so those are the kinds of candidates that we're looking for. And the other great thing about this program is, even if you're not quite ready for this program, we've now been around long enough that we have developed those connections with other programs, other community resources, where we can say, hey, maybe this group isn't going to be the right fit for you because maybe you haven't had that childcare in place, or maybe there's other things going on, but here are some other resources and some other groups that you can reach out to, and maybe come back and see us in 6 months for our next cohort. Maybe you'll be ready then. And so it's great now to be able to reach out for those who might not be that perfect fit quite yet for the program, but we can still help you. And I would like to see that this program in at least for Calgary is that first call, and from there we can help get you in the right direction.
And that's really inspiring and empowering too, because that means like these women who are so interested in it, they're not coming to you and they're not hearing a no, they're hearing, here are your options, you're not ready now, but at least you can help them grow to be ready. And I think that's really encouraging.
Yeah, and I think it's so important because when you think about, I mean, this isn't necessarily trade specific or even gender specific, but anybody who has been struggling to find employment for whatever reason, whether it's the market, whether it's a lack of skill, whether bad luck, whether it's they don't know how to write a resume or cover letter. I mean, most people feel pretty vulnerable, right? And I think the last thing they need when they've finally got the courage to reach out to a program such as Empower, the last thing they need is to have like a door completely shut in their face or just a no, we can't help you. Um, even if they're not ready, just to have that ability to connect them with other resources. I just think that's key in building that confidence, and usually it's the confidence that is holding them back from getting employment.
Yeah, that's all. I think it's really great what you guys are doing. From like, that's a huge aspect too. Like, that's above and beyond just doing a program. That's helping people build up and really be able to get ready for it.
Mhm.
So good
Yeah,
job.
I think, well, I think it's so inspiring to see people have seen their confidence grow, and hearing their stories, because we've all struggled, we've all no matter where we come from or what background, we've all had our struggles, and to be able to um, support people who can then help themselves, and the ultimate goal would be to have them successful and then in a position to turn around and reach back and help somebody else through the journey. That's, I think, the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and I think that's really uplifting and really, especially in times like we're in today, like things aren't easy. So having that resource is really, really quite something. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's great. I love working with this program, and I love the individuals who come through this program. It's amazing to have that connection, and inspires me greatly.
What is some of the best feedback that you got for it, or some the most common feedback that you get?
Hmm. I think it would have to be that confidence piece. Is Yes, we're providing skills training, which is very, very valuable, but it's that after that 15 weeks, having that confidence that yes, you can succeed, and yes, you will be successful. That to me is the best feedback, and the most encouraging is um, having somebody go from the point where they've reached out for that help, and then to the point where they're confident in their own abilities, and they're now in charge of their own journey. um, that's the best feedback, and the reason why I keep going.
That's that's really amazing feedback.
Mm-hmm.
That's not something you get to hear all the time. So again, it's great. I love
Yeah.
I love everything you're saying about this program. One last question for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to sit with a group of people today, what would be your best advice for starting out, getting into the trades and getting into this program even?
um I would say just start. I mean, yes, as females, there are, more challenges, I would think, still than our male counterparts, but it's changing, and it's changing quickly. And so that's something to be aware of, but I don't think that's something to hold us back. Um, and one of the great things about the trades is, if you can get your foot in the door, you don't need the experience. You don't have to have, um, you know, you don't have to, yeah, you don't have to have experience. If you come to an employer who's looking for entry level with that positive attitude, that willingness to learn, they will bring you on, and they will teach you what you know. And then you can start that apprenticeship journey, and you can start, you go back to school, and you haven't forked out a ton of money to a post-secondary institution um, without that guarantee of a job. You have that job first. Um, and you will slowly learn the skills, but it's all in the attitude. So yeah, the advice is just start, bring your amazing attitude. You might get some no's. It is going to be a challenge, but you can do it. And there are groups like Empower, like there's many groups across Canada that you can reach out to support, even if you don't take the program, but that can help you find the resources you need to get that foot in the door. Once you get that foot in the door, you can then think about the next step. If you want to do an apprenticeship, if you want to continue that journey, and there's a lot of financial incentives, so you can begin to look at that. But initially, you just have to start, and I really think it's just taking that first step. And if you're finding you're not successful, is reaching out to programs such as Empower, such as, there are so many, I don't even know all of them. I know there's some in Ontario. I know there's some in BC. So there's so many organizations, and all it takes is a Google search. Yeah.
Very true. And I think that's some great advice too, because half the time it's our own fear holding us back. So getting out there and just going for it and giving it your all the first time is over half of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think one of the greatest things, if you think you like carpentry, and you get your foot in the door with a company in the carpentry field, 6 months, you realize this isn't for me. I mean, you haven't lost anything. You have 6 months of experience you've been getting paid for, and you've learned that you don't love carpentry. That's not a failure. That's a win. And now you can go maybe try plumbing pipe fitting to see if that's a fit. You haven't paid thousands of dollars for an education that you turn out not to like. You're learning on the job and getting paid, and learning what you don't like is as valuable as learning what you like.
And the best thing about it too, half the times in the trades, like you're going to do carpentry, but you're exposed to all these other trades at the same time as well. So
yeah, exactly. So the learning that you can do is endless. I mean, if you want, there's opportunity for lifelong learning and continually improving within the trades. It's not a it's not, you're not going to be a laborer forever if you don't want to. And if you love being a laborer, that's great too. I mean, there's lots of opportunities as a laborer as well, but it can be more than that. It's not that entry level job that's going to go nowhere. If you want to make a career, you will.
Exactly. It's all about what you put into it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. What you put in, you'll get out for sure. But you do have to be willing to do the work.
It's like in the trades too. It's one of those things where like the more hands-on you are, the more you'll learn, the more you'll see. Mistakes you'll make, and you'll greatly learn from those as you go.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the biggest advice that I always hear from women that are in the trades is, it is okay to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes, but you have to be accountable. You have to admit to your mistake, ask for help, get the training you need so that you can learn and overcome those mistakes, so you don't keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And that training is available to you, and most employers will respect that and will respond and will teach you what you need to know. You just have to be accountable for yourself.
Yeah, don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong. It happens.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so thank you very much for talking with us today, Natalie, and for telling us all the empowering trades and everything that you do. It's all very inspiring. So thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to share this program. I love it, and as it is open, it is available for those in Alberta, and we have a new cohort starting in October, so we will be beginning intake soon for that. So if you're interested, I'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. I'll just link your information below then for everyone to check out, if that's okay.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.